Hello there! One question I keep asking myself was why did this video go the way it did? It went well, but replicating Bloodborne in Minecraft was a challenge that pushed my skills to another level and taught me new tricks I'd never even thought of before. The video went in a million and one different directions, but despite that fact, I hope you enjoy. I am standing on a bit of a pattern that I just designed, and I want to make a Bloodborne-like pack of houses today that you guys can use, and I can use at a future date. And I want to also put them together into like a small-scale Bloodborne type walking map. So what I've done so far is I've thrown together some like textures and details that I can use for the map, which would be really cool, and I'll just build some houses based off these. Now that's not a lot, as you can probably tell, but it is a lot for now. I do like this design. I think these look nice, but this isn't really what I want to show you. This is what I want to show you. I really like this. This is like a walkway, a pathway design that you could make, and I wanted to get that Bloodborne feel, and I want to get that brick and the British feel. You know, I live in Bloodborne every day, and I gotta tell you, nothing changes. And now I'm gonna start kind of throw together the first house because I don't really have anything else to do. I just have to throw down a couple houses and then make tons of details and finally put everything together. I'm so proud of this though. Starting off, I'm going to design a smaller scale build to help me nail down the style of Bloodborne. Okay, so I started to get to work and I'm not really sure on what to do now. I'm going to be 100% honest because I'm already on my second day. If you don't know, and if you haven't watched my channel before, I upload one video a week, except for last week because I had no ideas and I needed time to formulate ideas. And now I have tons of ideas. But beside that point, I have 3 days to record while working around my work. I have Tuesday, I have Wednesday, and then I have Thursday, which is a full day off from work. And then I use Saturday and Sunday to edit, which is, you know, it's fine. It's fine. I can work around that. The problem is some projects like this, when I take them on, are very big projects, and oh boy, it's a bit crazy. Anyways, I've been working on one of the houses, right? Now, I know Bloodborne isn't really loads and loads of houses. I know it's a lot of big buildings, which is kind of, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to nail down the style right now of what I want this pack to look like. Kind of Bloodborne-y, but also like, just like design-wise looking cool, so you can use it in lots of different areas. As for a house design, this looks really cool. I've done this effect with using grey concrete and black concrete, and it's a kind of a tamer effect, but it gives this impression that there's actually something on the inside. It is just genuinely too dark to see, which I think is a really nice vibe. Originally, I was going to go for white up here, as you can tell, but I thought it didn't give off that vibe too well, so instead I went with, you know, the impression that it's actually very dark. And so white would become light grey, and that's what I've done. You have this white grey feel. 100% honest with you guys, I've never played Bloodborne. I watched my brother play Bloodborne, I've seen some of the bosses, and I've seen how cool the game is, and I thought the style was really good. I actually know another Bredley that plays Souls-like games, right, on his YouTube channel. You should check him out, by the way. But yeah, I might watch one of his gameplay videos on Bloodborne if he's done one. I can't remember if he's done one, but anyways, beside that point, I might watch one of his videos to figure out the style and what type of things I should build, because I want to build a full pack here, including details and decorations and everything in between. But right now, I'm going to finish this house so you have at least one basic asset to throw down, and then maybe I'll do like a smaller house or shack or something, which would look really nice. This is probably one of the more interesting builds I've done. I like this one. I like it a lot, and I'm going to be honest with you here. I did something a little different today. What I added onto this, or how I built it more accurately, is that I used a piece of concept art I saw online for a Bloodborne house, and I thought, hey, this will probably teach me the style and give me some ideas for what I'm doing in the future, and I think it did. I think this thing is lovely. I just shocked myself by looking at all my own builds. That thing's a horrific monster, isn't it? Anyways, moving on, I finished the back of the build, which looks very nice. It's very detailed. This bit's more in my own style because there wasn't any concept art for this, while the front area is in a kind of different style because that does have a concept art, and you can sort of see the level of detail is a little bit better. If I was going to go ham on this, it would be a lot more detailed, which is probably not a good thing, is it? But I like to go really detailed on my builds. I really like a lot of these angles. There are probably areas I could fix, like these ones, but I don't mind them being a little blank. Sometimes it's good to have a little area where there isn't a whole lot of detail, so your eye has a place to rest, like this front area does have. But this whole building is really, really cool. Now, I'm going to need to create some smaller details for the Bloodborne map. I'm going to be honest with you now. There is a reason I'm doing this. I'm not doing this just to make a YouTube video. I have my own nefarious purposes. So my idea is if you've ever watched Civilization videos on YouTube, I'm really into that sort of thing. I play a lot of Civilization events, and I don't know if that's a good thing. I might play too many of them. I definitely play too many of them, but I really love playing them. And I had this idea recently to make a Civilization event, or Civilization Civ, I guess you'd call it, based around Bloodborne. And that's the only details I go into it, because I don't know how many people who watch the videos are going to be watching this. But it's a really cool idea, and I'm really hyped for the idea. And I thought, hey, if I create a pack of houses, I can just create the interiors at a later date, and then that could be the base of the Civ. So I guess around three houses would work, right? So this would be the big house. Then when we do a smaller house, it'll be easier to build in the Civ, and then we can go from there. And also we need to create a pathway design. Obviously we have the main path, which looks amazing, especially up close now that we've got the different colors in and things. But we also need like a bit of a higher section and like some more details and lamps and things along those lines that I'm going to work on in a bit. But for now, this first house, this first area, it looks so sweet. I'm so proud of this build. Honestly, I really am. Next, I'm going to work on the bit that actually took a lot of time. So this is a pathway design I've been working on. And I know I've showed you this area, but I've added these wall sections in because I watched some gameplay footage of Bloodborne, right? And I had been looking at screenshots, but the gameplay footage kind of helps a lot more because you get that whole 360 view type thing. And it gave me a couple ideas for what I should work on. First of all, houses like this, you don't see them a whole heck of a lot in Bloodborne. You see them a little bit, you see them off in the distance, but for the main part, it's mainly like big, almost like apartment building structures. If you've ever been to London, which I have, it feels like that if London was slightly nicer, which is not saying much. But what I'd like to do now is I want to add like a secondary path up here. I'm going to add some stairs, and then I'm going to try and create a building exterior that I can paste down like a road, so that it feels like kind of Bloodborne-y, maybe have like a main structure at the end. And I think we just need to create these big structures on the sides, these pathways. And I think for the designs of street lamps and things, we've got something pretty cool here. This is actually pretty neat, I won't lie. Okay, so what I've done now is I've changed up the floor texture, and I think this looks a lot better. This feels a lot more Victorian, I guess you could call it. Usually this type of design with the leaf litter, I don't think it would work too well on like a modern city or anything like that, because it adds too much brown to the floor and it kind of changes the overall color. For some reason, Victorian like movies or whatever, they always have that brown tint to them, and that kind of works in our favor. And even a Bloodborne has that sort of brown tint to it, which really works in our favor here. And I think that works really well. What I've done is I've made it a more varied texture. So there's a lot deeper darks and slightly lighter lights, and it creates a more contrasty look, but also the darks there's much more dark than there is light in the texture, which also does help it give a better feel. I just think this looks like a perfect brick pattern, like an actual street you might walk down, rather than using something like only stone bricks or a variety of textures, which might end up just looking a bit more like a flat path rather than what you actually want it to look like, which is a large brick path. So I really like the design for a main path, and I think we can do a lot here. We can add like market stalls or whatever. Now we just have to work on these big side buildings, so we can copy and paste this down, and then we can get an idea of what a Bloodborne map would look like if we were going to make it, and like sort of what the techniques that we can use in the future are. This video, you might have gone in thinking I was building the whole map, and I do feel a little disingenuous for saying like, you know, building Bloodborne in Minecraft, right? So I am building the designs and things, so it's not completely like a lie or whatever, but I do want to make good content for you guys, and I want to make content that you guys can enjoy. And if that means that if you like this type of video, maybe I'll do more Bloodborne stuff, and maybe I can create even an actual map, right? And work on that for a long time. But I want to find stuff that people enjoy foremost, and then I can figure out all the other details first. So I hope you know that I'm not trying to lie to you or anything like that when I make a video that doesn't have everything completed in it. It's more when it's a bit more of a layout of designs rather than an actual full map. So I hope you guys are able to understand that. I really hope you are, because I do really love making stuff like this. I hope I can continue making stuff like this for you guys in the future. And when I eventually do make bigger projects like I did last week, or not last week, the week before that, then I'd really love your support in those things so we can actually, so we can work on really, really cool projects. Right now I'm trying to make that base design for the building. I do have big windows on here, but a lot of Bloodborne's buildings are kind of uneven. So I'm thinking about doing that, although it will be duplicated, so an uneven building might look a little strange, but we'll have to just work with that and see where that goes. If we do stack stack by 3 now, hopefully. There we go. That looks nice. I like this because this does feel kind of that's got a cool vibe to it actually. I mean, from out here it's kind of like empty, but from the inside that does feel Bloodborne-y. Now, I'm going to detail this area more, and I'm going to hopefully make this feel more Bloodborne-esque, with like stairs that lead up onto these areas, and maybe some carts, and just fill this area with ups with some details. Maybe, and just look at that. Ah, I like that. I like that a lot, honestly. Just get these houses to look a little different. Maybe add little roofs or something, and then this area could be copyable. Then you've got an idea of where we can go from here, and that'll be just a really cool little area that feels very Bloodborne-y. And I think we got the vibe pretty much spot on with this. I mean, you feel small in the area. You feel like if there was a boss right there, you'd have to fight it. We've got the leading lines drawing us forward. So if there was a big structure here, which if I have time, I will do. But if there was a big structure here, you'd feel like you were walking towards it. And I could definitely do it. And there's a lot of room for extra details, which I really love actually. Okie dokie. So I have been building this. Oh, I love this. I've been doing so much work on this, just minor little touch-ups, minor little details, bringing some houses back. Sorry, some houses back and some houses forward. I chose the wrong house for a minute there. My eyes are killing me. They're not killing me. I just don't have eyes in general, I'm just as blind. Look at these blue things. You think those are eyes? No, those are little fish behind my head. Those things are in my skull. I can't take them out. Those are fish. All right? If you're planning to draw fan art, you know what I look like now. This is what it looks like. I've added some extra details. Here we've got like a ladder type of thing used for construction in my head. That's my own like personal lore. I've changed out these lanterns because if we check over here, originally they were orange. I looked at some Bloodborne thing and usually the lanterns are like this bluish shade, which the second I changed it over, I got an entirely different vibe, and I was like, okay, this is really, really cool. This actually kind of fits now. I added a little nook and cranny area here, which works really well. I added these staircases up. That hasn't actually been that hasn't been properly put into the environment, has it? I need to fix this up now. But I added these staircases up, which I think look really, really nice. They fit into the environment incredibly well. If you can tell, I'm on a bit of caffeine now, so I've got a bit of energy. That's why I'm a little less exhausted. I don't drink caffeine as much as I used to, so that might be why my tones changed a little in videos. But I gave in today. I'm on the calf, so that's why I might be a little more hyper. Now, if we come over here though, I decided, yeah, I'm gonna do a main building, especially because I need that thumbnail shot. It's all about YouTube. I need that thumbnail shot, guys. I need that thumbnail shot. That's gonna be where the main building is, and I was thinking I could do this sort of curved shape as if it was like a library at the front, which could look really, really nice. And that there's also that thing in Souls games where a boss arena usually has one big thing at the back and then the walls are fairly, in quotation marks, samey, so that your point of view is always focused forward at the different thing, the thing that stands out, and then the boss status spawns here. And that's kind of how Souls games articulate their bosses. Not always, and I'm not always correct on that, but that's what I imagine that they do by looking at some screenshots and bits on the Souls games. I like the art of the Souls games and I love looking at it, but as far as playing them goes, I just can't. I'm not a big gamer apart from Minecraft. I watched my brother play it, but me, I couldn't even try. But anyways, I'm gonna make like a library here, maybe with lots of windows and things, so it looks a little different and less dark from everything else. We want to have a big shape here and just like have a really, really cool vibe. Do you know what would be really neat actually? If I was going to build this area specifically in survival, if we kind of curved this out correctly so it could be inside like a cave, that could look really neat. I'm building Grian's Alley from Hermitcraft Season 7, I just realised that. Is it Season 8? No, yeah, Season 8, the one with the meteor. or the moon, sorry. Moon big? No, sun big. There's sun. Hello, sun. So this is the design of the library that I've been doing, and I quite like it so far. There isn't much to speak about. I tried to go for this round shape, as you can see here. That looks really, really nice. I really like the shape of this. This clock was hard to do because I wanted to give it 3 hands, but then you have to work around this, so I had to create this design over here. And that took quite a while to make it look good, and I think that did look quite nice in the end, despite the fact I had to widen it. Widen it? Is that the right word? No, shrink it on the sides. I had to make it a little taller on each end. So to get that, to get that 3-way taking hands, because if you watch Bloodborne or see anything super realistic, clocks have 3 hands, not 2 hands. And in cartoons or less realistic Minecraft builds, you do 2 hands because it's more recognizable. But for more realistic builds, you want to do 3 hands, like I've done there, which is a really minor detail, but I prefer it because it feels better. It feels more alive in the way I've added a little movement in as well. I've got some ideas to add more movement in. I was speaking to my brother, and if we get, what's it called? Not a campfire, a flint and steel. Then we can get some netherrack, which is this block right here. Then we get some trapdoors out, which I think I'll either go for dark oak or spruce. I think, I'm going to go for dark oak. I think. And out the front here, maybe a little off to the side, we can do something like this. Now, I don't know if bonfires like these are in the game, but aesthetically, that looks pretty nice because that adds a little movement into the shot, and it'd be cool to have one in the front here too. That would look really nice. Now I've got fire tick off, which I didn't have it on before, so I might have to check around my wall because I turned on all thunder to see what the map would look like, and lightning struck twice. So I hope nothing is on fire. I saw that yellow just then and thought that was hot. Oh my goodness, I gave myself a little heart attack. Okay, I'm okay. Okay, and I believe that the central building is now finished, barring maybe a couple more details, but oh my word, look at that. I was trying to delete my inventory for a second, realizing that it's already empty. Because before I record, I remove my inventory. I've got to stop getting distracted by random things like that. I really love this build. Now, I'm not really sure how to explain it. I went for that clock tower look. I was sort of thinking Back to the Future. I'm sort of thinking Gringotts. I think a lot of things when I designed this, but mainly it's just a design I worked on my own. Now, this might look like a small area. It might have looked easy to complete, but trust me, it was not. I actually found this really, really difficult. And the details in the end that I found really hard were these corners over here. Originally they were flat. I was trying to get the texturing to look right, and eventually I realized, hey, if I just add a couple of windows here, I wouldn't have to worry about the texturing. And honestly, that kind of completed the build and made it look awesome. And it was these walls here. It was the same thing with the texturing, and I was like, all right, instead of texturing, let me move on to detailing then. So I'll detail it instead of texturing it, which is slightly different. It's more complex and more performative, is that the right word? Okay, so I've been thinking about it, and detailing is causational, while texturing is a result of the causational object, which is a complicated way of saying that details cause textures and or shapes, right? Or shapes cause textures too, but that's more the broad stroke. And that's the way I think I'm going to put it, and that's the way I think when I design things. So I've added the details in, and then I can build the textures around those and upgrade things, and any more details that I might want to add later on will look really, really dope. I added a little fence here, so you've got this really cool shot now. If we look at that, and if I click a button, then we get that shot, which looks lovely. But then if we down set midnight, we can then make it even darker and feels more like a Souls-like game. Oh, my mouse is going everywhere. And then slash weather, and when it builds in, I think the rain mixed with the atmosphere and the fog, and that, I think that building at the back does need like a light, very dim lights around it, so you can get that better vibe at the front, which I'm going to do right now. Despite the fact being that it's quite a minimal thing, right? That design right there, even the lights adding on, you can sort of see it now, which is good. This thunder is loud, isn't it? But yeah, I think if there was a boss back there, that would be intense. This is probably one of the cooler builds I've done in a while. And now we're back to boring Minecraft. Look at that, look at that. Very, very, very normal, very normal. It's still a good build. It still has that cool feel to it. We've got the campfires, we've got the design of everything. If you have any questions about building in the comments, I'd be happy to answer them. I love talking about it. I love talking about smaller builds like this one. I like talking about bigger builds with fields to them and things like that. But I think as a design wise, this is one of the cooler builds that I've done in a really, really long time. Specifically because of feel and difference, and even though there are duplicated buildings around and items like that, which I don't always like to do, then it's still a really, really cool build. And this wasn't exactly how I expected this video to turn out, and I went through a lot of changes while making it, which I hope not to do in the future. 100% honest, I really don't want to lie to you guys. I want to make the content that I say I'm going to make, but if things go a different direction, then I guess they do. It's not that we didn't make something really awesome, because I think this is so cool. But yeah, tell me what type of videos you'd like to see in the future. Please like and subscribe. I'll see you in another video. Thank you for watching, and bye bye!